Cadillac makes shocking move as Bottas has been signed. McLaren is keeping a close eye on Verstappen for the championship. Let's get into the latest F1 news. Have you ever wondered what happens to drivers when they leave the spotlight of Formula One? Some disappear quietly, but others, like Valtteri Bottas, find ways to write surprising new chapters. And right now, the F1 world is buzzing with one of those surprises. Valtteri Bottas, the 10-time Grand Prix winner and former Mercedes star, is on the verge of making a sensational comeback, this time with Cadillac in 2026. Today, we're going to dive into what this move means, why Cadillac wants Bottas, and how this could shake up the F1 grid. So stick around, because this story is bigger than just a driver deal. Let's start with the headline. According to multiple reports, Bottas is expected to sign with Cadillac for their debut season in Formula One in 2026. Now, this isn't just speculation. The pieces are lining up. Bottas is currently Mercedes' reserve driver for 2025, and Cadillac has made no secret about wanting experience in their first season. Put those together, and Bottas looks like the perfect fit. But here's where it gets interesting. He might not be alone. Cadillac is also rumored to be chasing Sergio Perez, who could become Bottas' teammate. Imagine that, two highly experienced race-winning veterans leading a brand new team onto the F1 grid. That's not just a driver signing, that's a statement of intent. Now, let's pause for a second. Why Bottas? On paper, it's obvious. Nearly 250 F1 starts, 10 wins, 67 podiums, and of course, 5 seasons as Lewis Hamilton's teammate at Mercedes, where he helped secure multiple Constructors' Championships. If you're Cadillac, starting from scratch in the most competitive motorsport on Earth, you don't want rookies making rookie mistakes. You want calm, steady hands. You want someone who knows how to develop a car, how to give useful feedback, and how to lead. And Bottas has built his entire reputation on exactly that. Think about it. Cadillac isn't just trying to survive in 2026. They want to prove they belong in Formula One from day one. And having Bottas at the wheel sends a very clear message. We're serious. But Cadillac's entry itself is fascinating. They'll be joining the grid as the 11th team in 2026, running Ferrari customer engines and backed by General Motors. That's huge. We're talking about one of the biggest car companies in the world putting its name on an F1 project. And unlike other new teams in the past, Cadillac isn't hiding its ambition. They're not just here to make up the numbers, they want to build a future where Cadillac becomes a force in Formula One. Now that's a long road. Remember how tough it was for Haas when they joined? Even with Ferrari support, it took years just to become midfield regulars. So Cadillac knows they need more than hype. They need credibility. And Bottas gives them that credibility. Here's a fun twist though. Bottas himself has been teasing this move. On social media, he recently sat inside a Cadillac SUV, looked at the driver's seat and said, "Oh wow, that's actually a nice seat. Both seem free." Now, he didn't confirm anything outright. But come on, that's a classic Bottas wink at the rumors. And F1 fans immediately picked up on it. The post went viral. In other words, Bottas isn't just considering this, he's leaning into it. But let's step back and look at the bigger picture. What does this mean for Formula One as a whole? Well, first, it means more opportunity. With Cadillac coming in, 2 extra seats open up on the grid. That's great news for drivers who might otherwise be left without options. Second, it shows just how much F1 has grown globally. Think about it. A few years ago, the idea of Cadillac, an American luxury brand, joining Formula One would have sounded crazy. But now, with the sport exploding in the US, with races in Miami, Austin, and Las Vegas, suddenly Cadillac wants a slice of the action. And with General Motors backing them, this isn't just a gimmick. It's a long-term play. Now let's put ourselves in Bottas' shoes. Why would he take this gamble? Because make no mistake, it is a gamble. Cadillac will be brand new. They won't be fighting for wins in year one. And Bottas, at 36 years old in 2026, knows his best years of chasing championships are behind him. So why join? Simple. Legacy. Bottas has already proven himself as a race winner and a team player at Mercedes. But joining Cadillac gives him the chance to become part of something historic. If he helps shape this team, even if they're not fighting for titles, his name will always be linked to Cadillac's F1 journey. He could become the foundation that the entire project is built on. And for a driver like Bottas, that's powerful. But here's the part that makes this even juicier. If Bottas and Perez really do team up at Cadillac, think about the storylines. Both are former teammates to legends, Bottas with Hamilton, Perez with Verstappen. Both have spent years in supporting roles, often overshadowed but quietly doing the hard work. Now, both could finally lead a team together, side by side. It's almost poetic. Two underdogs given the keys to a brand new project with nothing to lose and everything to prove. That's the kind of narrative that keeps fans hooked. Of course, not everyone is convinced. Skeptics say Cadillac could struggle just like Haas did, or worse, like the failed F1 projects of the past. And let's be honest, Formula One history is littered with ambitious newcomers who never made it stick. But here's the difference. Cadillac has massive financial backing. They're already building relationships with Ferrari for engines, and they're prioritizing experience from day one. That doesn't guarantee success, but it does give them a fighting chance. So, what happens next? The expectation is that Bottas' deal will be announced soon, with Perez possibly following. And once that happens, the countdown to 2026 truly begins. Because make no mistake, this isn't just another transfer rumor. This could be the birth of a brand new chapter in Formula One history. So, let me leave you with this thought. In 2026, when the lights go out for Cadillac's very first race and Valtteri Bottas lines up on the grid, we'll all be witnessing more than just another debut. We'll be witnessing a moment where a driver reinvented himself and a brand took its shot at the biggest stage in motorsport. And whether Cadillac succeeds or struggles, one thing's for sure, Bottas' story is far from over. Imagine betting everything on one horse, only to worry it might be the wrong one. That's exactly what Lewis Hamilton may be feeling right now. Has the seven-time world champion placed his trust in the wrong team at the worst possible moment? Today, we'll unravel whether Hamilton has backed the wrong horse with his Ferrari move and what it could mean for Formula One's next era. Lewis Hamilton shocked the racing world when he announced he would be leaving Mercedes to join Ferrari ahead of the 2025 season. For years, fans dreamed of seeing him in red, and the move was painted as a fairy tale chance to chase that elusive 8th world championship. But just as Hamilton takes this bold leap, Formula One is preparing for one of the most dramatic technical shakeups in history: the 2026 engine regulations. Here's where the questions begin. Commentators like Alex Jock are asking whether Hamilton has gambled his final shot at glory. Why? Because whispers are already circulating in the paddock that Mercedes might once again have nailed the new engine formula, just like they did back in 2014. And if that's true, then the prancing horse could suddenly look like a slower, less reliable bet than the Silver Arrows he just walked away from. The 2026 rules are monumental. The sport will move to a near 50-50 balance between internal combustion power and electric battery deployment. This shift is meant to align F1 with the future of sustainable technology, but it also creates a golden opportunity. Whoever masters this balance best could dominate an entire era. We've seen it before. In 2014, Mercedes unveiled an engine so superior that they created a dynasty lasting nearly a decade. Now, insiders are suggesting history could repeat itself. If Mercedes is indeed ahead in development, then Hamilton's switch to Ferrari looks risky. He could find himself battling uphill against not just Max Verstappen and Red Bull, but also his old team, armed with a potentially championship-winning power unit. And while speculation grows off track, the reality on track isn't much easier for Hamilton. This season, his frustration has been boiling over. After a poor qualifying session in Hungary, Hamilton described himself as useless, even going as far as saying Ferrari might be better off replacing him. Those words reveal the weight of expectation he's carrying and the emotional toll this gamble is already taking. Former Haas boss Guenther Steiner added more fuel to the fire by warning that if 2026 doesn't work in Hamilton's favor, it could spell the end of his Formula One career. Think about that. One of the greatest drivers of all time, possibly bowing out not in glory, but in disappointment. The pressure doesn't get higher than that. And Ferrari? They're not escaping criticism either. Italian media have turned their sharp pens on Hamilton, labeling his performances as annoying and portraying his Ferrari journey as a fading love story. For a team that thrives on passion and heritage, such narratives can weigh heavily. The media storm in Italy is relentless, and Hamilton is feeling it firsthand. Meanwhile, team principal Fred Vasseur is doing damage control. He insists Hamilton's words are just signs of frustration, not loss of motivation. Vasseur paints a picture of a driver still fully engaged, but struggling with the challenges of adapting to Ferrari's car and culture. Still, managing both the technical and emotional battles is proving just as tough as the racing itself. So what's truly at stake in 2026? If Ferrari cannot deliver a competitive car under the new regulations, Hamilton's bold move could become the story of a champion who miscalculated at the wrong time. But if Ferrari gets it right, if they find the magic balance and give Hamilton a weapon capable of fighting Mercedes and Red Bull, then history could be rewritten. Hamilton could claim that record-breaking 8th title and cement his legacy not only as the most decorated driver, but as the man who conquered the Scuderia's long championship drought. This is why the debate feels so intense. It's not just about horsepower and aerodynamics. It's about risk, legacy, and the very human drive to chase one more shot at greatness. Some fans say Hamilton's willingness to risk it all on Ferrari proves why he's the greatest, because the greatest don't play it safe. Others believe it's one gamble too far, a step that could turn a legendary career into a cautionary tale. What do you think? Is Lewis Hamilton a visionary, daring to rewrite history in Ferrari red? Or has he backed the wrong horse at exactly the wrong moment? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. From speculation about Mercedes' possible 2026 dominance, to Hamilton's emotional struggles this season, to Ferrari's battle with expectation and criticism, this story has all the elements of high drama. And no matter what happens, one thing is certain. The next chapters of Hamilton's career will either define his legend or test it like never before. If you think the Formula One title fight is already decided, think again. Because while McLaren might look unstoppable right now, there's one driver who could shake everything up: Max Verstappen. Yes, you heard that right. Verstappen might not be leading the championship this season, but according to Johnny Herbert, he could still play the role of disruptor. And that disruption might be enough to cause McLaren some serious headaches in the title fight. So, let's break this down. Right now, McLaren are flying. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri are sitting pretty in the championship standings, and their car is delivering on every kind of circuit. The momentum looks unstoppable. But Formula One has taught us a painful truth over and over again. Dominance can collapse in the blink of an eye. And sometimes, it doesn't take a rival team to cause it. Sometimes, all it takes is one driver in the wrong place at the right time. And that's where Verstappen comes in. Think of it like this. In psychology, there's something called the chaos factor. It's the idea that even a small disruption can send ripple effects through an entire system. And Verstappen is the perfect embodiment of that chaos factor right now. He may not win the championship this year, but every race he's in gives him the chance to take crucial points away from Norris or Piastri. Imagine you're McLaren. You've done everything right. Great. Your strategy is solid. Your car is fast. But Verstappen sneaks into second place, pushes you down to third, and suddenly that comfortable 25-point weekend shrinks to 15. Over the course of a season, that's devastating. And it doesn't just affect the points, it affects the psychology. Because pressure changes everything. When a team feels hunted, their decisions get tighter. The drivers start questioning whether to risk a move or play it safe. The engineers start overthinking strategy calls. The entire dynamic shifts. That's why Herbert warns that Verstappen, even without the championship lead, is still dangerous. He can't win the war this year, but he can win enough battles to make life very uncomfortable for McLaren. But what about the idea of a McLaren implosion? Herbert doesn't see that happening. In his words, Norris and Piastri look too calm, too consistent, and too locked in to self-destruct. And let's be honest, that calmness is what makes them so powerful right now. Think about it. In sports psychology, one of the most important concepts is emotional regulation, the ability to stay composed under pressure. Norris and Piastri have shown it all season. They don't look rattled, they don't look insecure, and they certainly don't look like they're about to crack just because Verstappen is lurking around the podium. Still, that doesn't mean McLaren can relax, because Formula One history is full of dominant teams that stumbled when they least expected it. Remember Mercedes in 2021? A team that had reigned supreme for years suddenly found themselves in a knife fight to the very last lap of the season. And in those kinds of knife fights, one mistake is all it takes. Now, here's the twist. Herbert believes Verstappen's biggest weapon isn't just his driving skill, it's his mentality. Max has nothing to lose right now. That makes him dangerous. There's a psychological principle called the freedom effect. When someone has no fear of loss, they often take risks others wouldn't dare. Verstappen in that mindset? That's not just trouble. That's chaos waiting to happen. Picture a race where McLaren need every point to protect their lead. Verstappen throws his car down the inside into turn 1, wheel to wheel with Norris. Does Norris back out? Does he risk contact? Suddenly, the calm, composed McLaren drivers are forced into high-stakes decisions. And when the title is on the line, those moments can define entire seasons. So, what does this all mean for us as fans? It means this season isn't the straightforward McLaren march it might look like on paper. It's a layered story. McLaren are the protagonists, yes. But Verstappen, he's the wildcard antagonist. He's the character who may not win in the end, but who shapes the entire narrative by being unpredictable, by being relentless, and by being fearless. And let's not forget, this is Max Verstappen we're talking about. The man who redefined aggressive racing. The man who thrives in chaos. The man who has built his entire career on taking the kinds of risks that leave the rest of the grid shaking their heads. Even Herbert admitted it. Verstappen is going to cause trouble. Not just for McLaren, but for everyone. And sometimes that's all it takes. Trouble in the right place. Trouble at the right time. Trouble that flips the script. Here's what I want you to think about as the season goes on. Every time you see Verstappen battling a McLaren on track, don't just see it as another overtake or another podium fight. See it as a psychological battle. Because those moments aren't just about positions on a Sunday afternoon. They're about momentum, confidence, and belief. And in a championship fight, belief is everything. Let's wrap this up. McLaren are in control. Their drivers are calm. Their car is fast. But Max Verstappen is the chaos factor. He doesn't need the championship to matter. He just needs to be there, close enough to take points, close enough to apply pressure, close enough to plant the seed of doubt. And if Formula One history has taught us anything, it's that doubt is the most dangerous opponent of all. So, what do you think? Is Herbert right? Will Verstappen really cause enough trouble to shake McLaren's title charge? Or are Norris and Piastri simply too strong to be rattled? Let me know in the comments, because this season might just turn into one of the most fascinating mental battles we've ever seen.